What's up, fight fans? Thanks, as always, for coming through. Much appreciated. Remember, hit that subscribe button if you guys are new to the channel. All right. Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, obviously looks like talks are now finally starting to take place. Legitimate talks, not a case of someone sending an email to someone or someone sending something on Twitter. It looks like Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn are about to put a package together. Sounds strange, right? But about to put a package together and are looking to make this Deontay Wilder fight. From what Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn are saying, and again, I don't really necessarily believe them sometimes, but it looks like they're saying they want to do this fight before they do the Povetkin fight, right? That looks like the two fights are on the table. Povetkin, obviously a mandatory, and Anthony Joshua versus Wilder, the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world. So obviously the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world will take precedent, and it looks like they're trying to push the Povetkin fight back. Anthony Joshua has at least said that that's what he wants to do, that he would prefer to fight Wilder first and then Povetkin after. Interesting, right? Now, what interests me more, and first of all, it was a slip of the tongue. I have to be honest with you. But Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn have both said this now on numerous occasions. And what they've said is the first fight will take place in the UK and the second fight will take place wherever it takes place. I find that very, very strange. Look, rematches happen. There's been numerous times where fighters fight each other 2, 3, sometimes even 4 times when you think of Pacquiao or Marquez. But you rarely hear a fighter who expects to win talk about, okay, in the second fight, we'll go here. I find it... look, is he already thinking that he's going to lose the first fight? Because if he thinks he's going to win the first fight, why would you even mention the fact that there could be a second fight? And don't get me wrong, a lot of people will say, yeah, but the 9 times out of 10, the greats fight each other time and time again. I get that, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is that you rarely hear a fighter before the fight talk about potential of a second fight. Because the fighter's already thinking, I'm going to bust you up the first time. There's going to be no need for a second one, right? I mean, you never heard them talk about this for Parker. You never heard them mention the possibility of a second fight for Klitschko, even though there was going to be a second fight. But you never heard it in the conversations in terms of the negotiations and the build-up. So you wonder why they're talking about a potential second fight. And I feel like if I'm Anthony Joshua, I want to get rid of that thought in my head straight away. Because in my head, what I want to be thinking is that I'm going to fight you, I'm going to beat you, and there's going to be no need for a second fight. No one's even going to want to see a second fight because the first fight is going to be so conclusive. But right now, from the way he's talking, it's almost as though, I know it's going to be a tough fight, it's going to be difficult, and we're probably going to have to do this again. And I find that quite, it could be just me, but I find that a negative way of thinking. Whereas if you're Wilder's saying something similar, but the way he's saying it is completely opposite. He's saying, look, I will take whatever you're offering me on the first fight, but on the second fight, believe you me, I expect for all the odds to be in my favor in terms of the purse split. So he's basically saying, I'm going to beat you, and because you're going to have a rematch clause in the contract, I'm happy to fight you anywhere you want, but understand in the rematch, I will be the A side because I've beaten you. So that's, again, it's very similar, but it's a different way of looking at it because he's thinking, right now I'm the B side. Everything's in front of you, AJ. You're the man. Fully understand this, but understand when we do this again, after I beat you, I'm going to be the A side. Whereas Anthony Joshua, who's clearly the A side, is talking about a rematch or talking about, you know, the first fight will be in the UK, the second fight will be, and I'm like, why are you even talking about a second fight? It's strange. These are thoughts that you and your team should maybe have privately, but putting it out there in the open suggests to me that you're not confident you're going to do the job in the first one. That's just the way I'm looking at it. But I guess on a positive note, at least AJ has come out and said we're going to offer Wilder a deal. You know, one thing he did say was that, look, I've got all my thoughts are about Joseph Parker, and that's fair, right? All my thoughts are about Joseph Parker. When the Joseph Parker fight is done, then we can start talking Wilder. And I think that's he stuck to that, right? He beat Parker, and immediately after in the ring, he said, look, give me Wilder. And now at least he's backing those words up again by saying, look, expect a Wilder offer very, very soon. And I respect him for that. It looks like Povetkin could be a stumbling block. Povetkin is saying, look, he's even, I think, put it down in paper with his promoters saying, look, I want that mandatory option next. I'm not taking step aside money. I want to fight AJ next, and you can understand why he wants that. But look, he will take step aside money. This would be a unification fight, and you don't get many of those in the heavyweight division, if any. So this is a massive fight, and I'm sure Povetkin's going to step aside to let Wilder and AJ mix it next, if they do mix it next. And I think they will mix it next, because we're no longer hearing about Wilder versus Dillian Whyte. That seems to have stopped. We're no longer hearing AJ versus Miller. That seems to have stopped. All we're hearing right now is AJ versus Wilder, but Povetkin being a small stumbling block. But what do you guys make of the fact that AJ is saying the second fight will be anywhere you want, or the second fight will be in the US? Why would you even be talking about a second fight when you're expecting to cause destruction in the first? Let me know your thoughts. Peace.